Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how to crochet the Blue Moon Shawl, which is a free pattern you'll find on both yarnspirations.com and on mooglyblog.com as the Fall Crochet Along for 2021. To make this pattern, you'll need 2 Caron Big Donut Ogos. I used the Blue Moon colorway, which inspired the name. You'll also need a US K-hook, which is a 6.5 millimeter one. And of course, you'll need your usual crochet supplies, a yarn needle, stitch markers, and scissors. In this video, I will be demonstrating how to crochet section 6, which you can see right here in the darker yellow or golden color. So now we're ready to begin row 41, which is our first row of section 6, and we're back to color A, or whatever color you'd like to use. And we're joining to the very first stitch that we made in the previous row, not the last stitch. We did not turn. So that means we'll join to that marked chain 3 there that we made at the very beginning. And we're going to join and make our slip stitch and chain 1, and then we're going to do a repeat of row 36. So row 36 was chain 1, 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then 3 single crochets in each chain space, and a single crochet in each double crochet across. So I've got my first 2 single crochets in there, and I'll go ahead and move that stitch marker on up. There we are. But after that, you can continue across just like we began the last section. 3 single crochets in each chain space and a single crochet and in each double crochet. Then when we get to the center for this row, we simply work 2 single crochets, chain 2, 2 single crochets in the marked chain space, and then make sure you get 2 single crochets in the last stitch to mirror what we did in the first. So I'll see you right when we get to the end of row 41 when we're ready for row 42. So here we are at the end of row 41, and we finished off with 2 single crochets in the very last stitch. So now we can turn and begin row 42. We're going to start with a chain of 6, which means it will count as our double crochet and chain 3 space. So I've got my, 1, 2, 3, 6 chains made. So I'm going to put my stitch marker in the top of the third one to mark it as the top of our double crochet. Then I'm going to put a double crochet right back in that very first stitch. Then we begin the section that begins with the asterisk. We skip the next 4 single crochets and work a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in the stitch after that. And then we do it again all the way till we get to 3 single crochets before the marked chain space. So let's do a couple of those together. We'll skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the stitch after that, we work a double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet back in that same stitch. Skip 4 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then do it again in the stitch after that. And as I say, we continue that until we get to 3 single crochets before the marked chain space. So I'll see you when we get to the center of row 42. So we've worked those wide V stitches until we have just 3 single crochets left before that marked chain space. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and skip all 3 of those last 3 stitches here before our chain space. And then inside our marked chain space, we'll work a double crochet, chain 3, place marker, and finish it off with another double crochet. So basically another one of those wide V stitches right there in our marked space, like so. Then to continue down the other side, because we want to mirror what we've been doing, we want to make sure that we just skip 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, before we work the next one of those wide V stitches. And then after that, we can go back to the repeat that got us here. Skip 4, and then do a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in the stitch after that. So I'll see you as we get to the end of row 42. So as you come to the end of row 42, you should have 5 stitches left, so you can skip 4 and then work your double crochet, chain 3, double crochet into the very last stitch, which my stitch marker does not want to share this time. So we'll go ahead and take that right on out of the way and finish it up. But that is how we end row 42. I'll get that last one in there. And that's how the end of row 42 should look. So now we've turned and we're ready for row 43, which is going to start again with a chain of 6 so that it counts as a double crochet and chain 3. So I will put my stitch marker in the top of this chain 3. There we go. And then we are going to once again double crochet down in that very first stitch right there. Then we're going to skip the next double crochet and work a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet between the previous and next stitch. So that means we're going to be working a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet between those wide V stitches we did before, right in those spaces in between. So let's do that first one together. We skip the next double crochet and then we work between that double crochet and the next one. So right in that space right there. And that's where we put our double crochet, chain 3, double crochet for this row. So we just continue that across. Skip those next 2 now and jump over here and do the same thing. Double crochet, chain 3, double crochet. And that's our repeat until we get to the center. So I'll see you as we come to the center for row 43. So as you can see, we've worked a wide V stitch in between each wide V stitch from the previous row until we come right to that marked one. Now, inside that marked space, we're going to work a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, place marker, double crochet, chain 3, double crochet. That's a lot. Let's do it together here. We've got a double crochet, chain 3. We're going to double crochet again in that marked chain space. So before what we did was just a double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet, we were done. In this one, we've got double crochet, chain 3, double crochet. This is our new center. Move your stitch marker up into that double crochet right there. There we are. Now we chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and double crochet in that chain space once more. So certainly similar to what we were doing in the previous row, but in addition to working in between those now, our center portion is a little bit different there. But after that, we can jump back to what we were doing before. We'll skip this next one, go right in between these 2 to make another one of those wide V's, double crochet, chain 3, double crochet again in that same space, and then skip over the next 2 and go in between again, and we'll work that all the way up till we get to the end. So I'll see you at the end of row 43. So after working between those last 2 V stitches here at the end of row 43, we're simply going to put another one of those into the top of our marked stitch, which of course is the 3rd chain of a chain 6 that started the previous row. So we've got our double crochet, chain 3, double crochet all back into that same stitch. And that is how we crochet row 43. So now we've turned and we're ready for row 44, which is the last row of section 6. It starts much as the previous row. Start with a chain 6 and put our stitch marker in that 3rd chain of the 6. 1, 2, 3. And then double crochet right back in that same first stitch there. There we go. Then just like we did in the previous row, we're going to skip that next double crochet there and then put those wide V stitches, double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, in between the V stitches of the previous row. Just the same thing we were doing on row 43 until we get to that center. So I'll see you back when we get to the center of row 44. So now we've come to the center of row 44. We've worked in between those wide V stitches before, but now we've got that whole center section. And this time we're going to skip that double crochet before the marked double crochet, and then we're going to work this same series again, but now we're working it into that marked double crochet. So let's do that together. We start with a double crochet into that marked stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, double crochet back in that marked stitch again. And now this is going to be our new marked stitch, our new center. So we'll go ahead and move that stitch marker up to this double crochet. And then we chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet back in that same stitch. After that, we skip that next double crochet there, and we go back to working in our pattern, putting a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet between each of the V-stitches of the previous row. So I'll see you as we get to the end of row 44. So here we are at the end of row 44, and I'm going to finish it up the same way I did row 43 by putting a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in that very last stitch, the one that we had marked from the previous row. And with that, we will have finally finished section 6 and row 44. There we are. So at the end of row 44, we're going to go ahead and break this yarn and switch to the next color. But unlike the other rows, we are going to go ahead and turn, or the other sections, I should say. We've turned at the end of our rows, but at most of these sections, we have not turned. We've gone back and joined to the first stitch of the row. At the end of the 44th row, we are going to go ahead and turn our work and join with color B to the last stitch of the previous row. So I'll see you again when it's time for section 7. And that's how to crochet that section of the Blue Moon Shawl. Stay tuned for the rest of the videos and the rest of this beautiful shawl pattern featuring Caron Big Donut Ogo. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.